One of the most agonizing sights in politics is watching Democrats trying to ape the motions of normal, everyday people. We've talked about this a lot recently. Tim Walsh tried to play a video game, a football video game, and go hunting only to demonstrate that he doesn't know what a pick six is or how to load his own shotgun. Then white dudes for Kamala, led by Adam Kinzinger, went to the range for a fun day of shooting, only to violate every single gun safety rule that exists. They even managed to accidentally shoot a reporter who was covering the event. He was hit by a bullet fragment off of a very predictable ricochet, which is a story that probably should be getting more attention than it is. And then there was Kamala Harris grabbing a casual beer with the governor of Michigan the other day, surrounded by dozens of cameras that she pretended not to notice so that she could have a fake hot mic moment. The whole thing looked about as phony as Elizabeth Warren's infamous beer catastrophe. Now, Democrats struggle to emulate basic human interactions like this for a lot of reasons. One of them is that Democrats are statists, maintaining interpersonal relationships, having normal interactions with one another isn't something that really concerns them. Their goal is advancing the broader interests of the party. This is an outlook that makes it extremely difficult for Democrats to relate to everyday Americans who, unlike Democrat politicians, aren't transfixed by the idea of obtaining more political power. It shows up everywhere in their messaging, and they can't help but reveal how clueless and manipulative they actually are. And that brings me to what may be the single most vile political advertisement that I've ever seen, perhaps. This ad just came out the other day on social media, and on paper, the idea behind this advertisement is to appeal to liberal women who are married to conservative men. But in just the span of 30 seconds, this ad, which was produced by the nonprofit Vote Common Good, reveals that Democrats don't understand anything about marriage or women or men. Instead, probably without even realizing, the people who made this advertisement were very transparent about the goal of the Democrat Party, which is to turn families against one another. So here's the full 30-second advertisement, which happens to be narrated by the actress Julia Roberts. Watch.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walsh. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this ad.
Now, it's actually impressive that they managed to jam so much insanity into one 30-second advertisement. According to Julia Roberts, the voting booth is the one place in America where women still have the right to choose. Outside of the voting booth, women can't make any decisions for themselves. Women are completely controlled by men 24/7 in every aspect of life, except in the voting booth on Election Day. That is their one precious moment of freedom. It's not like they're free to make choices every moment of every day all the time. No, they have no freedom to choose anything except on the ballot. Now, if that's true, it raises the obvious question of how Julia Roberts was able to do the voiceover for this advertisement in the first place. What man told her to do that against her will? Who exactly is holding Julia Roberts hostage and making her embarrass herself like this? Surely she couldn't have made the decision to read those lines on her own. After all, she's a woman and she's not in a voting booth. So by the advertisement's own logic, we can only assume that Julia Roberts is tied up in a basement somewhere, or maybe she's being blackmailed. The possibilities are endless, and none of them are very good. Not to mention, if the patriarchy has successfully banned women from making any choices in life at all, then how do women still have the right to vote? I mean, that seems like a rather significant oversight by the patriarchy. It's almost like the patriarchy doesn't even exist. But aside from that, there are about a million other problems with the ad. And you'll notice that in the ad, the conservative man has the hat with the American flag and the bald eagle. Seems like a patriotic, friendly guy. And his wife's hat has an American flag too, but then we learn that the wife is only pretending to be patriotic because her husband is abusive or whatever. Really, she identifies more with the mysterious woman across from her who's not wearing any hat, and the two women exchange a knowing glance, even though the ad says that nobody will ever know who you voted for. But in this ad, both women know who the other one voted for somehow. Never mind that. And then the man's wife walks away with the mysterious woman like they're going on a date or something. So far, the two messages this ad is sending is that, I guess, conservatives are patriotic and that Democrats think women have no agency whatsoever. They're supposedly too cowardly to even speak their own minds to their own husbands or to make their own decisions about anything. And this particular ad is coming from a nonprofit that says it wants to appeal to evangelical and Catholic voters because apparently evangelical and Catholic voters are in the habit of what? Lying to their spouses? Like, this is the kind of message that, this is, if you really want to speak to Catholics and evangelicals, encourage lying in your marriage. That's the kind of message that Christians really find appealing. Now, as insulting as this is, again, it would be a mistake to dismiss this ad as merely tone deaf and patronizing, although, obviously it's both of those things. The ad is actually saying something important, which is that one of the goals of the Democrat Party is to turn spouses against one another. And they're saying it very explicitly. They want women to keep secrets from their husbands and to see their husbands as some kind of threat. Democrats are pushing this message because ultimately they want to destroy marriages and families, which are the single greatest threat to their political power. And a couple of days ago, I talked about this effort in the context of Democrats' last-minute pitch to win over male voters. Michelle Obama delivered a 30-minute speech in which she repeatedly told men that their role is to be subservient to liberal women. And the only time she talked about improving the lives of men was when she was telling them to kill their children. If you kill your child and destroy your family, Michelle Obama said, then you can go to college. And then you can be a miserable, screeching activist who's loyal to the Democrats instead of your own children. Watch.
The devastating consequences of teen pregnancy won't just be borne by young girls, but also by the young men who are the fathers. They too will have their dreams of going to college. Their entire future is totally upended by an unwanted pregnancy.
As with everything else we hear from prominent figures in the Democrat Party, nothing exists in isolation. It's all part of a broader collective message. Every single agent of the party has to push the same exact script at all times. Michelle Obama didn't come up with her anti-family message any more than that nonprofit came up with its anti-family message. They're all working in concert to push the same rhetoric that ultimately leads to the enactment of policies like this one in California. Watch.
Newsom has signed a bill that would ban school districts from notifying parents about a student's gender identity. That means school districts will have to remove policies that require parents to be informed if their child identifies as transgender. The passage of the bill comes after several districts across the state put similar notification policies in place without the student's consent. Staff can no longer be forced to disclose a student's sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression.
So over the past couple of years in California, various school districts were requiring that administrators notify parents if their child starts identifying as trans. That's a policy that obviously makes sense for a lot of reasons. One of them is that children who think they were born in the wrong body are, about 1 million times more likely to suffer from serious mental health conditions. They're also almost certainly being influenced by their teachers or their peers, neither of whom care about these children. They care about an ideology. The parents care about their own children, which is why parents need to know. The only people who actually care about the children in this scenario, in basically every single case, are their parents. But in California, the state thinks that it knows better than the parents. And here's just one example of how that plays out. In 2019, a mother in California named Abigail Martinez lost her 16-year-old daughter to suicide after she says that her school and the Department of Children and Family Services pressured her daughter to transition, quote unquote, into a boy. Authorities placed Martinez's daughter in foster care because she wouldn't affirm her daughter's new gender identity. She didn't see her daughter again until she deliberately sat down on some railroad tracks and was hit by a train. So here's an excerpt of the mother's remarks where she outlines the horror that the state of California put her family through.
In 7th grade, by the end of 7th grade, 8th grade, she's starting to show those signs of depression. I seek for help. I talk to the school so they can keep an eye on her. They did it at middle school when she turned, when she started high school, is when the doors opened to what she was talking about, like transgender, going to meetings, going to all the support that they think that they have for these children, which is not. The school psychology and the LGBT was told DCFS that my daughter will be better off out of the house. And they did. They did. They took away my daughter when she was 16 years old. I tried my best to get her back, going to court every single month. I never missed a court date because I want my daughter back. But yes, it was my daughter who they were picking, their pieces out of the tree.
Now, the tragic reality is that this woman's daughter probably would not be dead today if the state of California hadn't taken custody of her child. And by the way, if you watch her full remarks, you'll hear that even after her daughter committed suicide, the state still treated this mother like a criminal. These people are ruthless in their efforts to destroy families and ruin the lives of children. That's why California just made it a law that prevents schools from mandating these kinds of parental notifications. Parental notifications that would save the lives of children. But Gavin Newsom sees it differently. Newsom's spokesman said, quote, "This law helps keep children safe while protecting the critical role of parents. It protects the child-parent relationship by preventing politicians and school staff from inappropriately intervening in family matters and attempting to control if, when, and how families have deeply personal conversations." So if you're following the doublespeak, the state of California is protecting the child-parent relationship by making it easier for schools to hide critical information from parents about the mental state of their children. The more secrets there are, the better. I mean, really what they're saying is, explicitly, is that they are protecting children from their parents. They're saying to children, you should see your parents as a threat. This is the same message that the nonprofit was pushing in that advertisement with Julia Roberts. Democrats want family members to treat each other with suspicion and contempt so that eventually families collapse. It's the same reason that the Soviets encouraged people to report their relatives for wrongthink. When families are gone, the state can move in to fill that power vacuum. This is the plan that Democrats, with the help of former celebrities like Julia Roberts, are now attempting to execute. The problem they're having is that they're being extremely obvious about it. At a time when trust in the Democrat Party has never been lower, they're pitching themselves as your surrogate family, basically. It's as heavy-handed and unappealing a pitch as you can imagine, but it's what they're going with. And in less than a week, we'll find out exactly how well that pitch works out for them. Thanks for checking out this video. If you'd like to listen to my full podcast on the go, you can check out The Matt Walsh Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.